Hey guys, what's going on? Back at you with another video. Kind of a completely unrelated video to anything usually, besides like a dirt bike in the back. Thought I'd show a video on this recent repower I did of this Simplicity or Allis-Chalmers. However, the same thing. So this originally had a 7 horsepower Tecumseh on it, and when I got it, it would run. It started fantastic. However, the moment you put a load on it, it just bogged. Carburetor just would not stay in tune. I had a factory Tecumseh, brand new old stock, didn't work, couldn't get it to run right. Went through it, still had decent compression, but just overall was a pain in the butt. And the Tecumseh, and people around here call them Tecumsehs, whatever. They got a reputation for not being quite the most reliable engines. They're on everything for some reason, but everyone seems to say that their carburetors are finicky. And I'm not sure if that goes towards the 2-strokes at all. I think it's mostly oriented towards the old, 4-stroke, 5-horse, 7-horse, whatever. But it is what it is. Regardless, I said screw it, and I bought the Harbor Freight Predator 6.5-horse, which already has done way better than the old Tecumseh did. So the Predator is only 6.5-horse, 212cc. And the original one was a 7, but I think the original one was fairly worn out. Didn't seem to smoke, but it just didn't have the power that this does. And of course, some of that's with age. I mean, I think this was a 2019 engine, and I just bought it a few days ago. But the Tecumseh was old 70s, 80s. So, besides that, I thought I'd just show this. These snow throwers aren't quite as common as they once were. These are kind of right along the lines of the old International Cub Cadet ones before Cub Cadet got bought out by MTD. Whole dang thing, it's metal. There's very few plastic parts on it. For plastic parts, you're looking at the little handles, they're just so little. The thing's heavy as heck, but it's nice having some weight because it goes through the snow a lot better. It doesn't have a whole lot done to it. Obviously, I made the Predator work without having to change any bracketry. The only thing I had to do, because the Predator sits a little different on this platform, is I had to put spacers in to raise the motor up. And I was still able to use all the factory belts that were originally with the Tecumseh. So that worked. Gearbox works flawless, doesn't pop out. All the controls, I did have to align the controls differently because I put brand new belts, and of course, old ones were stretched. Let me rephrase that. I put brand new belts, but the same size as the factory belts. So if you have good belts, you wouldn't have to do it. The thing I don't like about this one is it doesn't really throw snow that far. It gets it out of the way, and it already has an impeller kit on it. So I think it's just nature of the beast. Some people I was talking with on the snowblower page on Facebook is I can change the pulley and kind of change the speed that the auger runs, but then you get to the point where it wasn't meant to run too fast and blah 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 blah. So it works good. And the bad thing is I haven't got to test it on lighter powdery snow. The only thing we've had is we got a ton of ice, and then we got wet snow, and then we got ice on top of it. So some of that will change with lighter snow. I'm sure it will throw that further, but it does go through ice mixed snow pretty decent, and I account a lot of that to the weight. The auger on this is in pretty good shape. No huge major dings or nothing. No cracks that I've been able to find. So overall, the unit's pretty good. It needs a good wash, but I'm kind of waiting until winter's done, and then I'm going to go through this. And my plans are, obviously, it will never be original with the Predator, but my plans are to take it all apart. I want to put brand new tires because these do hold air, but they're getting pretty worn out. I want to just keep going around, get some stuff done, and make it look pretty clean. Phone went dead there for a second. Besides the point, like I said, this thing definitely has some plans, but it's going to be springtime before I can do any painting, priming, and sand it all down and redo it. And then, of course, I'm going to get new wheels. These are starting to get a little rusty around the edges. They could probably be saved, but I mean, the wheels are a dime a dozen. They're used on a million different things. So I think I'm just going to go through and get new ones. That way I have peace of mind. Do tubes and then do new wheels. And then I got to go through and find miscellaneous hardware that's missing. There's a few bolts that were gone when I got it. So, but overall, not a bad unit. Pretty cool. They had one size bigger than this one, I believe. But like I said, this one does good for what I need. And that comes to my next projects. And I have way too many of those. So, this is a Cub Cadet 521E. Essentially 5 horsepower, 21 inch, you could say cut, 21 inch path, auger is what you can say. And it is a single stage, and they all, not all, but most of them, back in the early 90s, late 90s, even into the early 2000s, all used a Tecumseh 2-stroke engine. And they range from 2 horsepower to 5 horsepower. And there was even a few, I've seen very few, I've never seen the engines, but I've seen advertisements for a 7 horsepower. I'm sure it exists. Maybe I'm sure somebody out there can prove me wrong about it. Doesn't matter. Besides the point, I bought this. And I live in the Midwest, and we were expecting big snow. This one was not done yet. No, this one, I did not have this one yet. I didn't have anything. I had a old Wheelhorse 520 Hydro that I got from my father, but I got rid of that, so I didn't have any way to remove snow. So, on the day of freezing rain, snow, and then switching back to freezing rain, I drove back roads that had not been touched with 6-7 inches of snow to go get this thing, because the people claimed, oh, yep, it works, everything's fine, fantastic. I get there, about driving an hour and a half, and it's sitting outside. People are out there, real friendly people, and I said, yeah, I want to hear it run. It ain't pulls, doesn't do nothing. Plugs in the extension cord for the electric start, cranks on it, just nothing. Hardly feels like it doesn't sound like it's got compression, but whatever. Just won't start. Messing with the choke, and it's spitting gas out of the exhaust, so it's just a mess. And the lady, she says, well, it's cold outside. Just take it. Just give it, just take it. I know it runs fine, blah, 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 blah. Wait for it. So anyway, I was like, I'm not going to buy anything without hearing it run for the price. And they were wanting $50 for it. It was originally at 120, lowered it to 80. Somebody said they were going to come look at it, never showed up, so she said, $50, come get it. Okay. So $50 isn't a lot of money. It is to some people. It's not that much money. So, but I already had time invested. So, of course, it doesn't start. He grabs a can of carb cleaner, sprays it in the intake, which, if a lot of people don't know, these do not have air filters. A lot of the single stage do not have air filters. But besides the point, finally it pops off, sounds healthy, absolutely fine. But, of course, with all the ice, these really aren't meant for thick ice and heavy wet snow. So it wasn't doing it, but it was running nonetheless. Shuts it off, and all of a sudden it makes a horrible noise. What had happened is, what we didn't know at the time, the belt on the side had actually snapped. It was an old worn out belt. I'm sure I have it somewhere. And it snapped, and that's why it quit working. I was like, I'm looking for something that I can use fairly quick. I don't want to throw a lot of money. I was looking for a cheap snow thrower. Well, blah, 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 make excuses. I was like, I'll give you $20 for it. It doesn't work. It runs, but it doesn't work. $20. Fine, take it. So, I got this unit for $20. This story's getting long. Anyway, so, drive hour and a half back, get back, don't do anything, just put it in the shed for the time being, and just let it sit there until the snow was done the next day. So, I went out, I mixed my gas 50-1 with oil, started it, would not start. Grabbed carb cleaner, pops right off. Okay, well, we got to figure that out, but nonetheless, it runs. Within 3 minutes of it running, the engine blew up. And I've accounted this to one of two things. when I had stocking hat and the wind was blowing, and two strokes, a lot of these are kind of louder anyway because the exhausts are loose or they're worn out, so they're kind of loud. So, but I noticed that this thing just seemed to run at super high RPMs once I started pushing some snow on the sidewalk with it. Didn't think nothing of it. It's like, oh, it's an old machine. It just sounds loud. It's not really running that RPM. But even from riding all the dirt bikes and four-wheelers, Banshees, everything, I was like, that just seems incredibly high RPM. But I just kept going. It was snow and throw great. It was throwing snow great. So I just kept going. And within 2 minutes, I wasn't even pushing snow. I was backing up to get ready to push snow again. And as I was walking backwards, it just stopped. Made horrible noises. And I looked on the ground, and metal pieces were flying at my legs. And I was like, well, that's probably not a good sign. So I looked underneath of it where the motor mounts and saw this damage. So it had completely destroyed the bottom case. And for those of you who don't know, the Tecumseh engines, the main support bolts, whatever you want to call it, are actually from the bottom, and everything kind of disassembles from the top. So anyway, saw that. I was like, well, I just wasted a lot of money. Because, of course, I spent $25 on a belt, and then I had the $20, and then the diesel fuel to go get it, and the fuel, blah, blah, blah. I had $70-ish in it. It's like, oh, this has become a lot more expensive than I thought. So, and if any of you guys know anything about these, is Tecumseh obviously doesn't make these anymore. They're all outdated. So, finding replacement engines is a little difficult. Especially this being the 5 horsepower. The 5 horsepowers are much harder to find than the 3 and the 4.5 horsepowers. Besides the point, two things happened. I believe it's a combo. So I believe when I got it, what had happened is somehow from me moving around something, the governor stuck wide open, and that's why I noticed high RPMs, and it essentially just overran itself. Connecting rod couldn't last and exploded, which is why there's the rod. So, but I also noticed, while looking at the crank, wonderful bearing there, huh? There was lots of heat marks, stress marks, and it brought to my attention when I went to go pick up this unit that people had told me over when I bought it that it was a 4-stroke. I said, no, that can't be right. Those are usually all 2-cycle. The newer ones are 4-stroke, but the older ones are 2-cycle. No, it's a 5 horsepower 4-stroke. Okay, well, I'll come look at it. And of course I get there, and it's an old Cub Cadet 2-stroke, and I let him start it, and I said, that's 2-stroke, right? And all of a sudden they're starting, oh yeah, that's 2-stroke. Oh yeah, you mix your gas. And he didn't know what he mixed it at, and then he looked at the gas cap. Oh, yeah, 50-1, that's what we always mix it at. And so, after this happening and seeing those wear marks like that, and the cylinder looks pretty poor, I think I can put a story together on this unit. I think exactly what happened is whoever owned this before me, I think bought it before winter here, probably got a decent deal, I don't know. Bought it, didn't know it was 2-stroke, didn't read into it, just thought it was like the newer single-stage ones that are 4-strokes. Just threw gas in it and ran. And I'm sure it ran okay for a little bit. I don't think they used it that much. Well, I think, once they realized, these aren't really that great, because they did have a 2-stage that they ended up buying after this one. I think, we're going to get rid of it, don't need it, whatever. Well, they sold it to me. And I didn't mess with the fuel. I should have looked in the tank to make sure it was 2-stroke before I had already dumped my 2-stroke into it. So nonetheless, I think I was the first recent owner who actually gave it 2-stroke oil. And I think that it was just coincidence that the governor stuck with that. However, the insides, the internals of this engine show that it's been ran without oil for a decent amount of time. Not horribly, but it's got some time on it with no oil. So that's kind of the story on this. The unit, it's dirty, as you can see, and of course I'm gonna power wash it and go through, clean it up, because the whole hood It's in good shape. It's just dirty. Needs a good washing. It's not cracked anywhere, any bad. So, but in the process, I've been trying. Even though you can find Turos all over the place. You can find even the older John Deeres, the Murrays. I'm kind of a fan of Cub Cadet. I used to collect a ton of International Harvester Cub Cadets. I've been in Lawn and Garden magazine for International Cub Cadets multiple times. So it was just kind of something interesting. I like Cub Cadet. Even though this is international, this is MTD, still nonetheless, it has just become my goal now to make it work again. So, for those who don't know, I am in Iowa. There's a guy, I posted on Snowblower, I keep wanting to say forums, but Snowblower page on Facebook. I posted pictures of this and I said, hey, anybody who's got Tecumseh engines, I'm interested in looking for one. And a guy said, oh yeah, I have one for free. If you pay shipping, I'll send it to you. I only need some parts off the unit. You can have the engine, you can have the rest. Okay, well, that's pretty cool. And then we found out he was about an hour and a half away from me. So, actually, last night, in our fog warning that we had, where you couldn't see 15 feet in front of you, I drove the hour and a half there one way and picked up this unit. This is an old Murray, is what this is. But it's got essentially the same engine. A little rougher shape than mine, but I think good cleaning could do it some good. Still has the area like mine for the electric start, which is nice. This was an electric start model. So everything should bolt on. The only difference is this is a 4.5 horse, whereas this one's a 5. Everything should still bolt up the same in the general sense of the terms. Should be golden. Obviously a little less horsepower, but I think I can make it work. The biggest thing that I'm fighting right now is getting this pulley off. This is a single piece pulley, unlike the Cub Cadet that uses 2 halves to make your pulley. And I have done matte gas, acetylene torch, heat, everything I can think of, and it's starting to get to where my pulley is starting to get into the threads. So it's incredibly tight on here. So I'm trying to figure out how to get that off. I'm probably going to take it somewhere else where they can put it in some sort of vise or press or something to get it. But that's where I'm sitting on this project. I'm really hoping to get it done as soon as possible, but unfortunately time and money is what slows down these projects. And this one took way more time than I wanted it to. I got the Yamaha, the YZ80. Freaking engine's been at the shop for almost 3 months now. They claim that this and that, blah blah blah. We're busy. Things came up. So maybe someday I'll have the restored YZ80. But anyway, those are my projects for now. And if you guys are still watching, and if you watch any of the other videos, I've been getting comments and messages through Instagram about the red truck that I posted, the most recent video actually. That truck sold within 45 minutes of being listed online for $900. Bought it pretty cheap, brought it home, got the broken starter bolt out of the block, put in new ARP bolts, put in new starter, and the truck, it just would not align. I tried shims, I tried without shims. I've never had to add shims on a 6.5 before, but I tried it with that didn't help. And there was a broken flex plate in the back. And I think the story on that is, I think someone put either a gas or an incorrect diameter flex plate on that truck. And they were using the old starter. It didn't bite right. I think that's how he got the broken starter bolts. Regardless, that red truck is gone. Like I said, it sold within 45 minutes of being listed online, and $900 was the first offer that I got, and I took it because I just wanted to get rid of it. I had people later on, I actually had some of the salvage yards around here offer to buy it off of me. I think the highest offer I got for that truck was like $1,650, I think is what he offered, but it was already gone. And who knows, those people offer one thing, and then they can mean another. So, red truck's gone. Still have the 6.5 diesel Suburban. Actually sold the 6.5 diesel Suburban to a gentleman out of state. However, didn't develop an oil leak. Had to get that fixed. And what we've come to the conclusion is we're just going to resell it. I'm going to give him his money back, and I'm either going to keep it or resell it, do something like that. So that's kind of where things stand right now. Overall, these are my projects I'm working on now, and maybe I'll make another video when they're done. So have a good one, guys.